If you are looking for a tool to help you run your NPCs in your games, let me introduce you to the NUUL Dice by Towerhouse Creative. Let's get into this. Welcome to Solitary RPG. In this video, we are going to take a look at the NUUL Dice from Towerhouse Creative. This is a great little NPC personality dice generator, and I really like it. But before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about Towerhouse Creative. I was first introduced to Towerhouse Creative with the Fate Mill dice. This is a D20 Oracle. Used it a lot when it first came out. However, it had its faults. It was a little bit too small and hard to read the results. And this was a printed D20. So as time went on, you could end up wearing off some of the printing. And Elton, who is the creative mind over at Towerhouse Creative, recognized that and created what is now considered the Fate Mill dice, which is, this is engraved into the dice, the results are, and it's a big chunky D20, so you can easily read this results, and it's a great tool. Yes, it is a big D20, but it works for what it is providing. All this information is engraved in the dice, so you don't have to worry about it wearing off over time. It's something you'll be able to keep in your collection for many, many years. Another product that came out through Towerhouse Creative is the Didact D20. This is kind of a love letter to the old D20s of yesteryear, where basically it was two halves, and they were both D10s, and that's what we used to use for D20s. This is kind of like a little throwback to those, but Elton has created like more clear instructions on how you can use them as a D20, a D2, a D10, and also a D100. So it's kind of your combination dice, which are really cool. There are also some other products from Towerhouse Creative, and what we're going to do is take a look at the Etsy page. And when you go over there, you'll see everything that is available. So here's our Fate Mill dice, the NUUL dice. Bell Whispers is a zine with tables and charts, and you can use that to help you with your games. And here is the Didact D20. So currently, there is a Labor Day sale taking place, and Towerhouse Creative has joined in on that, and 25% off the Fate Mill dice, Bell Whispers, and also the Didact D20. So if you are interested in any of those products, now's the time to pick them up. With a 25% savings, that pretty much covers shipping. So you can't go wrong with that. But it's kind of a cool little sale that's going on. And if you are interested in kind of a bundle deal, now with the sale going on, this bundle deal isn't much of a savings. However, you're going to also get this little D4, which I have no idea what this D4 is. I've never seen it. It is not sold as a separate product, but it could just be Elton's way of giving you this cool sticker, because that is actually a really cool sticker. But yeah, so it also includes the D4. But this is just a cool little bundle package. I actually ordered this. And the reason for that is I've reviewed Bell Whispers, but I only had a PDF copy of it, and I wanted a physical copy. So I went ahead and ordered this bundle, and I also want to know what this D4 is all about. So my impulses took over, and I purchased that. And I'll also get some extra products for the Fate Mill dice and Didact D20, which I'll probably use as a giveaway or something like that. And then there's also this little sticker pack, which is just kind of cool if you are interested in cool stickers. This is everything that Elton has available on his Etsy store. It's just growing as time goes on, which is really cool. It's always great to see a small independent creator starting to build their collection of inventory. And the NUUL dice are currently selling for $17.93. And if you do order it, this is everything you're going to get in the bundle. So the way Elton ships his product is you get a little Ziploc bag and the information. Everything's contained in the bag with the dice. Obviously, the Fate Mill dice doesn't fit in a little bag. That's in a bigger bag. But you'll get a little bag, and this is kind of how everything will show up. Now the bookmark obviously wasn't in the little bag, it was outside, and I don't know if the bookmark will be something that stays in the NUUL Dice packaging, but this is how it arrived to me. It's a thank you for your support. Elton is a small creator and he is very appreciative of everyone that supports him. So it's just a little thank you. But here's the heart of everything we're going to get. We're going to get our instruction booklet, which is a little bit different. It's not a card. This is like a little pull-out. And I really want to draw your attention to this once we start going over how to use the dice. You're going to get your two dice. You're going to get a holographic sticker. This is one of the things that sets Elton apart. Is he likes to get these stickers. They're very creative. And on the back of them, there's information about Towerhouse and the product that you are purchasing. And, something that, if he ever grows to the point to where he's at a Gen Con or one of the other gaming conventions, to have stickers to give out with information about his company. What a cool thing, because we all love stickers. Then you're going to get a little bit of a story. Elton is a very creative writer, and you'll get a story. I'm not going to read this. This is part of your discovery. So when you purchase the items, they all come with a little bit of a story, and I really like it. It just helps add a little bit more meaning to the product itself, which is really cool. But let's get into the NUUL Dice themselves. How do they work? What do they do? So let me draw your attention to the creativity of this instruction booklet, and really hope that maybe some other creative people out there that like to write like one-page rules or really small rule sets might look at this as a way of designing some of their booklets. It does pull out, and this instruction booklet's 17.25 inches long, so kind of unruly to have pulled out. But the way it works is you've got your cover, and then you flip it over and it starts going through the instructions. You flip it over again, continues going on with the instructions, and then you turn it on around, turn it upside down, and then the instructions continue to go on, and you've read everything. You do not have to unfold it to read the instructions, which is really cool. So let's start getting into the instructions. The first thing, you got some basic information. This is an NPC, like what are they thinking, something about their personality or how they're going to respond in a situation. This is, yes, we have tables and we have charts and we have all those things, but when you can just roll a couple dice, get some results, and just internalize, go with your gut. What does a double skull mean? If this was Blood Bowl, we know what that means. But for your results in your RPG at the moment, you can just respond to the dice, and you're not having to stop, look up a chart, anything like that. You just have dice and you can go with it. So the two dice are identical, and let's go over what the faces mean. The one is the skull. It means hostile or chaotic. The two is a wing, and that represents flighty or fearful. The three is a bag, representing like bribery or bargaining. Four is a mist, and it represents like uncertainty or a neutral response. Five is talk. It could be diplomatic or just a talkative person. And six is a heart, friendly, welcoming. So that's what the dice face represent. And what you can do using the quick start rules is you can use them as a combination roll. So like you roll the two dice and you get the mist and the talkative. So the mist is uncertain or neutral, and they're very talkative or diplomatic. So maybe you're in the town and you run into like an official, like the tax collector or whatever, and they're very talkative, but they're neutral or they're uncertain. So they're not going to give you direct results. They're going to kind of give you the political BS that you're going to get talking to the tax collector. Not a direct answer. So maybe that's how they respond to your PCs if you're interacting with them. So a simple roll, I got some symbols, I know what those symbols mean, I'm good to go. So that's one way of using them. You can also use just a single roll, so skull, hostile, chaotic. So hostile and chaotic can mean a lot of different things. But maybe you run into a NPC at a bar, and they just had a bad day, and they're just a little bit on edge. They're hostile. They're just not in a good place, and they're just maybe causing some problems in the bar, so, or the tavern. So that's how you can use it, just as a single roll, or you can just choose your results based on the circumstances. And that's what I like about these dice. They're very fluid. You're just rolling and getting your results and moving on. So depending on the situation at hand, we're just going to choose our result. Maybe it's a, someone that's going to be friendly, like we're just at the market and we run across the vendor, and they're not going to be uncertain and neutral. They are going to be friendly. They're going to be a little bit more welcoming. Come in here, come buy some of my wares. So that would be your result you would want to use, which is really neat. And then you can also add a simple modifier. So you're going to notice on the dice there's numbers, which all dice should have numbers, and 1 is the negative result for the system. 6 is the most positive result. So you can add in a simple modifier, kind of like the chaos factor for Mythic, the GM emulator, how it pushes the results towards a yes or no, or a positive or a negative result. You can do the same thing here by simply rolling. And if you're in a more combative situation, maybe you're facing a creature, and chances of a creature wanting to be friendly and welcoming might not work for your scenario that you're playing. So you may want to add a modifier like a -2. So when you roll your dice, you get your -2, and this, you can only go as low as a 1. So 2 minus anything is going to take it to a 1, and then that's also going to go down to a 1. So you got double skulls, and then here you start getting a better idea of what some of these results would be. So a double skull would mean will attack at first chance. It may seem unexpected. This is instinct, or they just like to fight. So that's what, if you roll double skulls, what it would mean. And you just have all of these examples running through this little booklet, which is basically a D66 chart. Going to mean different things though, depending on how you place them. So let's do an example here. I need 2 different results. Talking is the best way to interact with this creature. They will share information you don't expect because they are just so helpful. All right, so that would be the first result, but let's switch these around. We got heart and talkative. A few kind words may go a long way to winning this creature over. The creature enjoys nothing more than conversation. So based on how you read your results, you can get different meanings behind them. So it's just a cool little D66 way of kind of getting familiar with how the dice. I've just been rolling and reading these and just getting familiar with how the results come out, so that they're more instinctive and I'm not having to look on a chart. I can just interpret the dice and roll with them. Elton also created these interpretation statements. So this is kind of like an oracle in a roundabout way. We got the but and to be, but feels. So these are more statements that when you roll your results, and depending on how you roll them, we got bribery and uncertain. So seems, bribery might be, or bargaining might be a thing, but they're uncertain. So if we're dealing with that tax collector again, maybe bribery will work, but the taxpayer's really uncertain either about you or about accepting the bribe. Maybe they've never accepted a bribe before, so it's their first time being bribed, and something you may want to consider. So that's one way, using these little statements for your results. We got heart and bribery. Seems welcoming, and a bribe might work for this particular character, or bargaining. So maybe you run into, you're starting to have a conflict with someone, but they seem welcoming to bargaining versus fighting. Some options that you can roll with. So cool little statements that you can use to make the dice more effective. And then adding modifiers. This kind of goes back to the quick start rules. Adding and subtracting modifiers, just giving you more detail that you can't really go below 1 and you can't go over 6. There's no bonuses there. So if you do add your modifiers, you stop at those 2 levels, and it just kind of explains it. There's a second method here. This one's a little different, and I'm going to go ahead and read it to you. Add the dice together, subtract the modifier that you created, divide by 2, round up or down, and assign new numbers to the dice. So, for example, a roll of 11 with a minus 4 modifier becomes 3 bag and 4 missed. So the example would be 11 minus 4 equals 7, divided by 2 equals 3.5, round the 3 and the 4 to equal 7. It's just another way of going about it. This to me is a little bit too complicated for what I like in my games, but it is another method, and that's what Elton likes to give you in this, is options, different ways of using the dice to make things work. The additional tips are really helpful. So the reason these dice for running your NPCs are a good tool to have in your toolbox is you can consider the NPC or the creature's personality, background, and the current circumstances you're facing. So if the circumstances don't result in immediate hostility, like you're trying to get a characteristic for a merchant and you roll on some chart or some table and you get, or spark table, and you get like hostile or something like that. It's like, why would a merchant immediately be hostile? Yes, you can role play that, you can do all those things, but you can actually take the dice that you roll and work with it by either rolling using both the results or just using one of the results to fit the situation at hand so that you can continue playing your game. For simplicity, use the results as base for every interaction. So if you are keeping track of your NPCs in your game and you roll like the bargain and heart, you would want to write that down as a note, maybe on a scrap paper or something like that. So this is how they're always going to respond. So you're not rolling for them all the time, and that becomes their personality in your campaign or your game, and you're just using the same result all the time. However, you can also add a change to that. So this is their basic baseline. This is how they're always going to respond. But when you run into them a second time or at another point, people's lives change based on circumstances in life. So you can roll again, and we got hostile. So maybe they were welcoming to a bargain, but now they're hostile because maybe they got something happened. They lost some money, or someone stole something from them. Now they're just upset and they're just grumpy. So you can kind of modify their results by just rolling one of the dice again and just changing it just a little bit and adding a little bit more to the story. Consider using these dice to extend the result of your Fate Mill dice. So now Elton's tying this product in with another product. So when you roll and you get a result on your Fate Mill dice, you can also roll these to add to that result or change it up a little bit. The last piece of advice is advice that everybody has heard before, and it's always worth repeating. First, trust the dice, then go with your gut and have fun. There is no right or wrong way of RPGing or playing these games. As long as you're having fun and you're doing what you enjoy, just continue doing that. Rules are not restricted to that point to where you have to follow them exactly. Rules can be interpreted, and they're just to help guide you on your adventure. So that was a look at the NUUL Dice from Towerhouse Creatives. Again, link in the description to the Etsy page. The sale for the Fate Mill Dice and the Didact D20s goes on till September 3rd. So if you're interested, once the sale's over, maybe if you're watching this video down the road, the bundle package is actually, if it's available, is a great way to get a lot of the product. So thank you for watching, and have a great day. Bye.